Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we would like to welcome you to the 2015 Hall of Fame induction ceremony here at Red River Co-op Speedway. Of course, the Hall of Fame for Red River Co-op Speedway was put together for some great people, whether they've been drivers, builders, contributors to Red River Co-op Speedway. This place started in 1973, and here we are in 2015, continuing to enjoy great racing. And of course, it is due to a lot of great people that we are going to induct for the first ever time into the Red River Co-op Speedway Hall of Fame. So the first guy I would like to call upon is Jamie Vernaus. You'll know him as a star super truck driver with 3 championships to his credit. And Jamie, of course, we've seen you out on the racetrack, but let's talk about the guy that really started this place.
Well, you got to learn a few things about my dad. Number one, he had a lot of love for this sport. You could not find a bigger fan in stock car racing, and it went right back from Brooklyn Speedway. He went to every race. He loved it. He sponsored like 3 cars. Then when Brooklyn was starting to go away, that's when he started to have some guts, and he turned a little crazy, and he decided to buy some land and build a speedway out here. And then last but not least, that guy had a lot of heart. He did care about his people. First, he cared about his staff. He didn't pay much, but they sure came out every week. They worked their butts off. They respected him, and it was just great. Everybody loved coming. He also loved the drivers. The drivers would come from far and wide. If you had a bad night, they would come and come see my dad, and if you needed any help, he would give you a couple $100 for tow money. So you always went away with something. And last but not least is the fans. He always made sure we always had a good show. If he put on monster trucks, tractor pulls, he brought Richard Petty, Ernie Irvin, Michael Waltrip. We also put on one of the biggest races here in this part of the country. It was the Players 100. Cars came from far and wide. It was one of the biggest races. We also had the World of Outlaws here a few times. With that guy's hard work and dedication, that wouldn't have happened. The guy was only 5'4" on a good day, but a lot of people sure looked up to him. And that's why we're here tonight.
How about it, ladies and gentlemen? That is Jamie Vernaus on behalf of his father, the starter of Red River Co-op Speedway back in 1973, Peter Vernaus. How about a great big hand for him? All right, our second inductee into the 2015 Red River Co-op Speedway Hall of Fame. I am now going to call upon Helen Delane. Of course, last Friday night here at Red River Co-op Speedway, we ran the 6th annual Al Delane Memorial with one of the most exciting finishes we have ever had. And the Al Delane Memorial has grown beyond its means. It's incredible. A great, great show. Tell us a little bit about Al Delane, Helen.
Well, he was, again, very generous, very hardworking. He loved this track, and he just thought that he needed to put all his effort into it to make sure it worked, and for the points for the drivers, that he loved too. And I know he would be very proud, and he would be proud of his boys too.
No doubt about it. His boys are pretty good race drivers themselves. Let's talk about the 5th annual Al Delane Memorial last year. That had to be the biggest moment in your life. Yes,
it was. I was standing up there walking around and saying, come on, Al, help you boys, let's win. Through the whole race. It was very nerve-wracking, but it was so exciting. We really enjoyed it.
All right, Helen, well, certainly we hope the Al Delane Memorial continues for many more years to come. Our second inductee is Al Delane, ladies and gentlemen. How about a hand for Al and his family right here at Red River Co-op Speedway. All right, 2 left to induct here into our Red River Co-op Speedway Hall of Fame. Well, back in the day, if you were here in the 70s and early 80s, you might have heard of Don Mack, Linus Mack, Kenny Chapman, but a guy that everybody remembers is certainly a guy by the name of Lou Kennedy Sr. Lou Kennedy, can I have you up here for a minute? Here is a guy that has built race cars, he has raced race cars, and he has been it for how many years have you been in racing now?
About 55.
55 years, and you've done it all. You've built chassis from the ground up. You've been a pioneer in sprint car racing. What keeps you going in a highly, highly competitive sport?
Love for the sport, plain and simple.
No doubt about it. Of course, your family has grown up racing. They had a great teacher, of course. You have grandsons and a son who have all done a great job. Where is the furthest you've traveled in your racing career, and how did you end up out there?
Most likely Florida is the furthest we've traveled.
Oh.
Go ahead. And that was just really, let's get out of this cold weather.
No doubt about that. You can only stay in the heated shop building cars for so long. All right, well, we want to congratulate you on your 2015 nomination into the Hall of Fame. What does it mean to you?
Well, to me, it's very exciting. I know I was the first sprint car to ever go around this racetrack. When Peter started building this track, I was most likely one of the most excited race car drivers in Winnipeg. I used to come out here after work almost every day. I was just so thrilled to think that we were going to have our own dirt track in Winnipeg. And Pete always tried to put me to work, but I said, I got a job, Pete.
How about it, ladies and gentlemen? That's Lou Kennedy, our third inductee into the 2015 Red River Co-op Speedway Hall of Fame. Great sprint car racer, and his family is continuing the tradition throughout North America. All right, our fourth and final inductee is a guy, well, started out racing here. He became a flag man. He's been an official, pretty much everything, and now is on the microphone each and every week. Where is he? He's not hiding. Certainly he's not microphone shy. Come on up here, Pat Mooney, ladies and gentlemen. A guy that has pretty much done it all around Red River Co-op Speedway and throughout Wazota country. And well, I don't even know how to start this interview, because certainly I know you have a lot to say. So who would you like to thank, and what does this all mean to you?
Well, like I do up there every night, I'll carry it from here. Before we get talking about me, I want to take a minute and talk about the three guys that were inducted before me into this Hall of Fame. To be having spent, well, a lot of years out here, let's say. I came here to watch back in the early 70s when the place opened. I raced here, worked here, and still work here. But the names that are inducted into the Hall of Fame here tonight, Pete is in a class by himself. If he didn't build it, we wouldn't be here. So if you're a race fan, you can thank Pete for eternity. Secondly, Al Delane. Al Delane was a guy that I thought the world of. And you know, one of the reasons I did was because he was very selfless. He took on raising money for the Drivers' Point Fund. When the Point Fund hit the tank and the money disappeared, Al decided that it was time someone took it over and did a good job. Well, he did a fantastic job, and a very selfless individual, and he too should be thanked. Every day a guy cashes a points check, I hope they're thinking of Al Delane. Congratulations to his family. Lou Kennedy. What can you say about Lou Kennedy? Do you know? I don't know all the stories, but I know a few, and I'm going to tell you, anyone from Winnipeg may have heard of the Guess Who. Have you heard of that? Yeah? Well, there was a guy that drove the Guess Who Chevy Sprint back in the day. Sponsored by a rock group and from Winnipeg called the Guess Who. He was called all kinds of names, as we all are, in different places, but the most popular I remember hearing all over North America when I went to watch races was the Blue Bomber. The announcers seemed to always like that one. And I remember the one watching him race here. I watched him race Grand Forks, Fargo, all over the place, and I walked over the hill when my wife and I first got married about 93 years ago, and well, no, it wasn't that long. I walked over the hill at the Minnesota State Fair, and we were all excited going to our first pavement race. It was our last one because, you know, but dirt is where it's at. I walk over, and who do I see in the pits right beside Donnie Mack? Lou Kennedy. He raced on dirt, he raced on asphalt, he's trained a family of racers. Third generation young fella sitting down here that is, you're gonna hear about this guy yet. This kid is something else, just like a chip off the old blocks. Lou Jr. and Lou Sr. But for me to be mentioned in the same sense as those three guys, you know, when they told me this was happening, it didn't quite feel kosher to me because, well, not being Jewish, it didn't feel kosher right away, but aside, you know, those three guys were the foundation of this place. One guy built it, another guy backed it, another guy put the show on for years and years and years, and I find I have the best job in the place. I love the job that I've got. And by the way, Jamie, they still don't pay very good. I think your dad started that. But ultimately, these fellas made a difference. Al Delane, Pete Vernos, Lou Kennedy made a difference. And I admire them all for the differences they made. They did a great job, and they deserve Like I say, for me to be mentioned in the same sentence, just haven't quite got my head around it yet, but I respect them greatly. I want to thank you all and I hope you all give them a big round of applause because they're great people. Okay, now is that it, or do you want me to carry you some more?
I'll let you do that a little bit later because we're not finished yet. Once again, how about it for Pat Mooney, ladies and gentlemen? All right, for closing comments into our 2015 induction ceremony, I would like to call upon the present owner of Red River Co-op Speedway, Winnipeg Dodge's, Walt Morris. Come on up, Walt.
Thank you. I don't think I'll be able to match Pat's speech because he is actually, Pat, you said it all, and thank you very much. To make this racetrack what it is today, we have a lot of great employees, we have a lot of great fans, and we have a lot of great racers. And without that, the track doesn't go. And going back to Pete and the Kennedys, Paul Vernoses, I got tongue-tied here, you guys, and Pat and the Delanes, they are just class act people. I want to thank you for what you've done for the track. Again, I've been around 11 years, and we've done a great job, I think, in making this track to keeping the standards that it was set at. And these 4 families have actually done it and helped us make a dream keep going. A special thanks comes to Blair Bodley. My general manager has been with me right from the get-go, and the pressure that he has each and every year is just unbelievable. So Blair Bodley, you'll be on this on one day, all right? Blair Bodley needs a round of applause because he's done a great job. You want to come up? Blair, come on up. I would like to congratulate, again, all the families, sincerely, that we can hand these out, shake your hand. You guys are icons. You're a part of this track forever and never be forgotten, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing the best we can and the way we can. Thank you for your help. We really appreciate it, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So, again, if we can have everybody come up, the inductees, and say hello.
Thanks very much. How about it for Walt Morris, ladies and gentlemen? All right, we're going to get some photo ops here. Pat Mooney, if you could come up real quick and grab your plaque. Tim Johnson, the official photographer of Red River Co-op Speedway. Big Day Media capturing all the moments right here on video, and all the families down here supporting some great people that helped to make Red River Co-op Speedway what it is today. Once again, our 4 inductees, Peter Vernos, Al Delane, Luke Kennedy Sr., and Pat Mooney. How about a final hand for them, ladies and gentlemen, here at Red River Co-op Speedway. Some great people and some great racing families. This tradition is bound to continue.